describe her in one word, I would say class. And, you know, she always looked classy, talked classy. It goes without saying that she's brilliant. And when she complimented you or anybody, you knew that she really meant it. She would say it with her eyes as well as her voice. It goes without saying how much I miss my Floyd. He and Jane were very close. They would sit out on the bench outside and talk for hours. And I really, really miss that woman. I hope that you will all remember her as the lovely, wonderful person that she was. And if you have anything that you would like to say, I would so appreciate it.
I used to work for Patronato. I worked for Patronato for 15 years. And the one person that interviewed me was Jane. So she taught me everything I know now about fundraising. Sorry, I get sentimental, but when she stopped or left the presidency of Patronato, she said to me, now we can be friends. So we were friends ever since, and it's, you know, I'm glad that I met her, that she interviewed me, and that I had her in my life. So, Jane, you're in my heart always.
I truly love Jane. I was Jane W. and she was Jane S. I never met anybody who could be so accommodating as Jane was. When my husband Les died on a Sunday, by the next Sunday, she had a full 6-page obituary written up with him, with pictures all made into a folder with a pretty green bow. I mean, nobody could be as efficient as Jane was. I loved her and I miss her so much.
So somehow I became the sort of go-to pianist giving to Patronatos por Niños, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And it didn't matter where I was, whenever I saw Jane, and there was a piano nearby, she always said, "Oh, Mary, you've got to play Evita from Argentina. It is my favorite song." So I would absolutely do anything that she asked because, you know, Jane had that way. She'd look at you and you knew it was important to her. And it really gave me great joy to be able to play music here in this town, especially for such an esteemed organization as Patronatos por Niños. And thanks to Jane for that. I miss her.
Thank you all for coming. I did not prepare any remarks, which would have infuriated Jane. She would have wagged her finger at me for not preparing any remarks. However, there are some things about Jane that I have said so many times, they're easy to repeat. A brief history. Jane and I met in the 80s, 1988, when I was 20 and she was 45. And we became fast friends because Jane was that much younger at heart. She was a thrill to be with. We would go places together like house hunting in her giant green Cadillac. Can you picture her with a giant green Cadillac? She had an enormous green Eldorado, and she had 2 large dogs. She always had dogs. And it was so contrary to her personality, but she would allow the dogs to get into the back seat and swim around the back seat. They were so excited because they knew we were going to the park. This was one of the things I loved about Jane, is that she knew what was fun. She knew how to have a good time. And so we would take her dogs and my dog to Lake Washington and let them swim with abandon. And she loved her dogs, they loved her, and they made just a big mess of that Cadillac. But she loved them and accommodated them, and they were, they were very important to her. I did know her son, Dylan, and Dylan was the most important thing to her. They were close. He was troubled. It was a very, it was not an easy relationship. It was not an easy parenting experience. But she was heroic in her care for and support for Dylan. As you can imagine, she would be. She was creative and inexhaustible in what she would provide for him, think of for him. When he passed away, it was heartbreaking, of course. But I think that she understood that living in pain is not sustainable. She understood. But I don't think she ever quite, you never heal from something like that. So she was, by the time that this had, by the time Dylan passed away, she and I had been friends for 10 years. And I had, I was a new mother, and she was, she called me, and I just knew that a very big corner had been turned. And it was not going to be, she moved to San Miguel to start over. And so I want to thank you all for helping her build up again, to help her build something new out of a very difficult situation. I know she found acceptance and inspiration and good humor and, rich conversations here in this community. So thank you all for being there for my dear friend Jane. She and I remained close when she moved here. There were periods where I didn't get to talk to her as often, but we talked every day. And she knew, and I knew about the birthday parties coming up, and about the luncheons, and about the auction, and about I don't want you to feel like she was gossiping, but she definitely was, she was very present to her experience here. And I appreciated that she had found such a vibrant community. So thank you. I think you all know Jane. She was good at decision making. She was very good at decision making. She was very good at planning. And it was not unforeseen that what happened might come to pass. And she was not unprepared. She was not afraid. She was not in a hurry, but she was a brave, courageous woman to the end. So I hope you all find some inspiration in that. She was herself to the end. So to back up to the very beginning, I have 5 daughters, and when they are having a difficult day, or they've had a difficult day, and we're talking about, how hard life is, I tell them, and they're so tired of me hearing me say this story, but y'all haven't heard it, so bear with me, that meeting Jane on July 8th, 1988 was completely unexpected. I had no idea on that day that I was going to meet the best friend I was going to have for 35 years. So you just never know. Tomorrow could be the day that you meet that person. Tomorrow could be the very best day, and you just have no way of knowing. So go into every day thinking that that's possible, because it happens. It really does happen. So thank you all very much for coming. I really appreciate it.
Jane, I love you. I miss you. Come visit me in my yellow flowers in the next week or two.
Jane, your party has been fabulous. I wish you were here. I love you to the moon and back. And I know that's where you are now. Love you.
My dear friend, you are always in my heart. You know that every time we got together, when building your house, when installing your elevator, when renovating your bathroom, I always enjoy working with you. But what mostly I enjoyed about you was hugging you, talking with you, chatting with you, laughing, crying, and having lunch with you. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Jane, it's Carol, and I cannot tell you how much you enriched my life in San Miguel. So right after I got down here in 2004, I guess you heard I was here and heard I was a horse nut. So what you did, you threw the bait out, and I took it, and that was to go with you to a horse show in Querétaro. And while we were driving, you asked me about my daughter, who was 35, and I had just lost her, and I came to San Miguel to hide out. Well, you had lost Dylan a short time before that. So we immediately formed this bond, and I thought that your reaching out as someone who'd experienced the same thing was incredible. And so much compassion and a lot of interesting questions as far as looking inside ourselves. So that was my first experience of getting to know myself and you. And from then, many more experiences followed that I thought were very enriching here in San Miguel. And funny, I cannot tell you how I laughed at your twisting things around in a very clever way so that they were original and hilarious. And it was always wonderful to be able to laugh at yourself. So thank you for all your gifts and all your love. We miss you terribly.